This episode of Rick and Rick is brought to you by Taskin, the first name in ultra-stylish, premium-quality travel gear, like the Taskin Denali 4-wheel carry-on, featuring a sleek, jet black exterior, distinctive matte finish, exceptionally smooth rubberized wheels, and compact, lightweight form factor. Taskin Denali is one of the most stylish and versatile carry-ons anywhere. Save 30% on your next purchase when you use the promo code RNR Take 30. That's RNR Take 30 at TaskinSF.com.
You're just in time for Rick and Rick Rule the World, the podcast on brand innovation at the intersection of marketing, media, tech, and pop culture. And it all starts right here, right now, on the one show where everybody's name is Rick and everybody rules the world.
Well, what have we here? OpenAI is opening ChatGPT to self-service advertising, which means the bot that helps you write apology emails may soon try to sell you pants. How AI can turn one blockbuster budget into 50 low-budget films, plus loaded questions and a whole lot more. Which means you just found your way to Rick and Rick Rule the World. I'm Rick Matheson, and I am joined, as always, by my good pal, Rick Wooten. How the heck you doing, Rick?
I'm good. I've had my caffeine, so technically this is a performance-enhanced episode.
There you go. I actually don't feel like I got enough. I grabbed a soda and not a coffee. I am regretting that. What'd you have?
Just my very standard caffeine gum. You know, it's funny because people trip out on me when I describe caffeine gum. It's like nobody's ever heard of caffeine gum. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I was surprised when you first told me about it years ago, but you know what? I've probably had 90 pieces today. Are you familiar with Neuro Energy and Focus Gum?
No, actually, I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
It is caffeine. It's like 40 milligrams, but it has vitamin B6, vitamin B12, and then L-theanine, which is kind of complementary to caffeine, is what I understand anyway. It's supposed to be a neurotropic, very fancy. And to be clear, we aren't being paid to say that, folks.
That's actually very similar to the one that I do. The one I do is called Dialed Energy Caffeine Gum. Again, not sponsored. But hey, Dialed, if you want to sponsor us, please send us some gum.
Boy, we are like the poster children for caffeine gum, folks. So yeah, brands listening, give us a call.
Right. Well, you know, I've been doing this whole supplement thing, trying to find the right combination of supplements. And when I ran it through ChatGPT, it said, are you doing anything else that would bring in B12? And I'm like, well, actually, yeah, I think my gum has some. So I fed all this stuff in there, and it was actually pretty impressive. It's got B6, B12, caffeine, L-theanine, like you talked about, and also taurine in the one that I chew.
Gotcha. So you've almost got a Red Bull of chewing gum.
Yes, but with the lower amount of caffeine and no sugar.
Gotcha. It's weird, folks, how often Rick and I will have a conversation like this and find out that each of us are pursuing very similar things in parallel for months without the other one knowing about it.
That's right.
It's actually really weird. But anyway, before this becomes a wellness and energy podcast by accident, let's get into the thing that's actually on fire. And that's our top story this time. ChatGPT hallucinations may now come with a word from its sponsors. OpenAI is reportedly opening its self-serve ChatGPT ads manager to U.S. businesses and letting advertisers buy campaigns directly or through agency and ad tech partners. OpenAI says advertisers can now use cost-per-click bidding and expanded measurement tools. Now, to be clear, the company still controls where ads appear and says that the conversations and personal details therein aren't going to be shared with advertisers. Wink, wink. But the big shift here is that ChatGPT ads are moving from controlled pilot to broader marketplace. And there's been some controversy around this of late. But to put it another way, the chatbot that answers your questions is now learning how to sell the space around them.
Yeah, kind of in a phrase, nothing says trusted AI advisor like taking, and asking for career advice and it gives you back a link to khaki. So I don't know. I think this is an interesting one. It's inevitable. So it's not like I'm even mad about it, but I don't love the idea of the things that I'm putting into chatbots, turning into ads for me, but I get it. As long as they only do this on the free account. If I'm paying for an account, I really don't want to see this.
OpenAI, they're a long way from profitable, and they got to build revenue streams or more revenue streams to close the gap there. But in this instance, I think your point is spot on, Rick. The real question isn't whether brands are going to rush into ChatGPT. I mean, they will. It's whether users like you or me or anyone else will still trust the answer once the bidding starts. We're just going to be fed answers that are related specifically to whoever paid the highest price.
I think they have to be really careful with this because they can become really creepy really fast. If you remember a few seasons ago, we talked about this story about how Target mailed these coupons to a family about, diapers and, whatever. And, they kind of laughed to themselves like, oh, we have a teenager, like that's not us. And then it turned out their teenager was pregnant.
Down.
The teenager had bought a pregnancy test on a credit card that was associated with that household. So therefore, they made the assumption and then they started sending them diaper ads. And so Target had detected it before the parents even knew it. So it did run afoul.
Oh, man, that is tough. Hopefully ChatGPT and OpenAI will tread carefully with this. It'll be interesting to see how successful it is. What I know is going to be successful is all the other cool stuff that we've got covered for you this time out, including Radar Love, our look at pop culture goodness that's hitting the Rick's radars these days, followed by the good, the bad, and the marketing, plus loaded questions and a whole lot more. Let's kick things off with Rick and Rick Radar Love here. And Rick, I've been wanting to ask you about this. Have you watched Stranger Things Tales from 85 on Netflix?
No, I haven't watched that yet. Have you?
Yeah, I did. I somehow got all the way through and it is really fun. So big fans of Stranger Things, you're going to love this. So the show's over, but Netflix is out with an animated spinoff that basically fits between seasons 2 and season 3. So it's basically Stranger Things season 2.5. And it's animated, brings all the same characters, Eleven, Dustin, Mike, Will, Lucas, Max, all back with kind of an add-on adventure. It's like it closes out where things were in season 2, but kind of sets the stage for something happening in season 3. And Rick, I thought this was actually really well done. I mean, it was like a whole new season of Stranger Things.
Right on.
These are other actors, but they sound very close to the way we're familiar with the characters. The writing is spot on. Characterizations are spot on. And I don't know what you'd call it in animation, cinematography or whatnot, but the cinematography, for lack of a better term, rivals the live action show.
Oh, nice.
It's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And is the chemistry and all that still there between the characters, even though they're new people?
Yes. I mean, it brings you right back to season 2 and season 3, which frankly were my two favorite seasons. I think if you remember, it was, Eleven was still hiding out with Hopper in the cabin and how Hopper didn't like that Eleven was getting close to Mike.
And shutting the door, didn't he want it open 3 inches or 6 inches or something?
Exactly. It's basically setting the stage to that. Here's the thing, Rick. It instantly ranked in Netflix top 10, and now Netflix has announced that it's going to get a season 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Are you?
No, not after watching it. I was cautiously optimistic that it would be decent, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
I did just start watching Scrubs. I don't know if you've ever seen Scrubs. I didn't get into it when it came out back in, I think it was 2001. And I just started binge watching it. And I have to say that show's hilarious. So it's kind of sucked me in. I think I'm already up to season 3.
I really never saw it. I'm sure I watched a scene or two, but my understanding is, isn't that also a reboot show?
Yeah, there is a reboot of it. I'm not watching the reboot. I'm actually watching the OG because I never saw it.
Yeah.
But I'll probably watch the reboot once I'm done.
Yeah, it's a pretty good testament to a show if they've got a reboot, 20 years later. So
yeah,
probably worth checking out.
And I think they've even pulled in a lot of the same original people too.
I think they did. Yeah. People love that stuff. Another thing we're all sure to love is our next segment, because when we get back from this short break, it's time for the good, the bad, and the marketing. So don't go anywhere.
This episode of Rick and Rick is brought to you by Taskin, the first name in ultra-stylish, premium quality travel gear, like the Taskin Air Duo dual-sided compression packing cubes. One side's 100% air breathable to keep clean clothes fresh and wrinkle-free. The other side's odor and water resistant to keep dirty laundry sealed up tight. Now you can pack up to 40% more in the same space. Save 30% on your next purchase when you use the promo code R&R Take 30. That's R&R Take 30 at taskinsf.com.
And welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World. Rick Matheson and Rick Wooten. And it's time for the good, the bad, and the marketing. Starting with Honey, AI shrunk the blockbuster, or is about to. TechCrunch, they're reporting that Cristobal Valenzuela, which sounds like a character's name, but he's the CEO of a video generation startup called Runway. And he believes that AI could radically change Hollywood's cost structure, basically saying, instead of spending $100 million on one blockbuster, studios could use AI-enabled production to make 50 films with the same budget and comparable visual output.
This is one of those ones where I feel like people are really polarized around it because, some people will perceive a movie as a work of art, creativity, a Mona Lisa, just something that is beautiful and perfect. And then others will see it as, something they're going to sit down and watch while they're scrolling on their phone. So I think that the perception of the difference is a pretty big deal. And Hollywood so far has been pretty violently against the AI being fully adopted. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is received. And I appreciate his point. The point he's making really is that, you can create movies without investing quite a bit like you have in the past. Making 50 movies for $100 million is $2 million a piece versus, the one blockbuster at $100 million. However, I don't think, and one of the things he said in the article that I definitely don't agree with is he said that it's a quantity thing. We need to get people to make a ton of videos or a ton of movies so that, we can find the best ones. And I think editing here is the most important thing. I don't think we need a ton more movies. I think we need, more creativity. I think we need more innovation, and I don't need 50 or whatever it is 50 times more movies.
Yeah, no, I think that was really not on point. I don't see a volume game being a winner. I don't even see people really being that interested anytime soon in a movie that's 100% AI generated. But Patrick Caligari, he does an online show called Producer Patrick. As he put it recently, and I think accurately, that as the studio system is getting basically hobbled, not just from AI, but lots of systemic issues, AI is really democratizing filmmaking so that the actual creators now could wield AI and have the power to realize their visions without the gatekeepers that control budgets. So now we may be looking at this new era where the model transitions away from, this sort of studio first framework to creator first, where the creators control the IP instead of the studios. And I think that could be really, really exciting. Painful right now, again, not just because of AI, but I think I'm a little bit more optimistic about the way it will be used or what will prove to be commercially successful being creator first.
I appreciate that. And I was talking to somebody recently and I was using the example of Avatar. We made the first Avatar movie, but then we didn't make the second or third one for a very long period of time. And the reason for that was simply because the technology to make these movies wasn't really there yet. And it was so expensive. Now, fast forward, with the workhorse that is AI, AI generated video. Cameron could have made these movies much cheaper, much faster, and still with all of his creativity.
Exactly.
You still have the best of what he's trying to produce, but you could have, him use AI as a tool to get it done, faster and more compellingly than, the traditional special effects that are available at the time. So I see the value in something like that. The thing that I'm worried about is, we're going to see, some sort of a promotion saying coming this summer, Fast and the Furious 19 and 19B and 19 Prompt Drift. I mean, it's like, what are they going to do? Like drop 5, movies all in one summer that, is a sequel to one another. That's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And truthfully, I think if they did, people just wouldn't be that interested. If it's tools being driven by a human vision, I think exciting things can come from it. Like I said, people who are never going to be able to get a green light from a studio, I don't have to wait for a green light anymore. They could go do it and make money. And you're reading all the time about independent filmmakers spending a little bit of money and making a lot off of their creation. So I think we're in a new era in Hollywood that unfortunately is going to be a painful, very painful transition. But I think the model that emerges from it could be something that creators ultimately welcome. All right, when we come back from this short break, it's time to play Loaded Questions. It's our multiple choice quiz game to test your knowledge in recent developments in the worlds of marketing, media, tech, and pop culture. So stay tuned.
This episode of Rick and Rick is brought to you by Taskin, the first name in ultra-stylish, premium quality travel gear, like the Taskin Denali 4-wheel carry-on, featuring a sleek, jet black exterior, distinctive matte finish, exceptionally smooth rubberized wheels, and compact, lightweight form factor. Taskin Denali is one of the most stylish and versatile carry-ons anywhere. Save 30% on your next purchase when you use the promo code R&R Take 30. That's R&R Take 30 at TaskinSF.com.
And welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World. Rick Matheson and Rick Wooten. And it's time for Loaded Questions, our multiple choice quiz game to test your knowledge of recent developments at the intersection of marketing, media, tech, and pop culture. Rick, are you ready to play Loaded Questions?
I'm ready to go.
All right. Question number 1. According to McKinsey, generative AI can increasingly be found A, everywhere but the bottom line, B, aggressively agreeing with even your dumbest ideas, C, providing emotional support to overworked middle managers named Brad, or D, turning LinkedIn into a stream of Roombas talking to each other. According to McKinsey, generative AI can increasingly be found where?
I kind of feel like it's all of those. Let's go with aggressively agrees with all your dumb ideas.
You know what? I'm going to give it to you because I think it could be all of these. But in this case, the specific answer anyway is A, though B, D, and maybe even C could be true. In what it calls the GenAI paradox, McKinsey says that generative AI can increasingly be found anywhere but the bottom line. But in an April 2026 report on marketing workflows, the firm says that new forms of agentic AI may eventually power most time and resource-heavy tasks associated with campaign localization, personalization, and orchestration in real time, helping teams run 10 to 15 times faster and driving revenue growth by, get this right, 10 to 30%.
Wow.
So the future of marketing apparently involves AI agents localizing and running campaigns while reassuring Brad that even his most fucking bad ideas are awesome. Truthfully, having AI orchestrate that all right now, I think would be a living nightmare, but I think it is possible in the not too distant future where smaller teams are going to be able to do a lot more.
Totally.
All right, next question. The retail sneaker brand called Allbirds has announced that it has A, begun selling $900 mindful loafers infused with Icelandic fog, B, transitioned from tech bro casual to midlife apocalypse wear, C, pivoted from merino wool runners to AI infrastructure, or D, eloped with Yardbirds in a secret ceremony attended by their closest Hollywood friends. Retail sneaker brand Allbirds has announced that it has done what?
I'm going to say B, transitioning from, tech bro to, midlife casual wear.
You know, that might just be a euphemism for the real answer here. But in this case, the answer is C. So stealing a birdcage lining page from Open Door and to an extent Amazon, Allbirds has actually reported that it sold its business to a brand management company and has announced that an unnamed investor has agreed to spend $50 million to finance the company's shift to AI infrastructure.
Wow.
Its new name, New Bird AI.
Wow.
AI infrastructure expert Bill Clayman, he told the New York Times, quote, "At first it read like a really well-timed April Fool's joke." Then he added that given the craziness of this industry right now, maybe we shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of, recently when a bunch of brands pivoted to blockchain because that was the popular thing to talk about at the time.
Yeah.
And it just seems like kind of like a grasp at the air like that. But I don't know. I'd love to know the story behind why they think that's a good idea.
To be clear, the retail sneaker brand will be still running, just run by someone else. It's that the company behind it, I guess, is going for a second act and thinks that, as a lot of companies do, well, maybe we should just be part of AI infrastructure since that's where all the money seems to be going right now. All right, final question. Which of the following companies has topped the global FE index for 4 consecutive years and just became the first brand to be named Cannes Lions Creative Marketer of the Year for a third time? Is it A, Allbirds, B, Coca-Cola, C, AB InBev, D, IHOP, or E, Shiftmaster Auto Care and Leather Bar? Which of these brands has topped the global FE index for 4 consecutive years and just became the first brand ever to be named the Cannes Lions Creative Marketer of the Year for a third time?
I really don't know this. I'm going to guess Coca-Cola.
You would think that's probably what I would have guessed, but in this case, the answer is C, AB InBev, the company behind Bud Light, Budweiser, Michelob Ultra, Stella Artois, and outside the US anyway, Corona. I don't know how this works because the Cannes Lion International Festival of Advertising is next month, but they have announced that the holding company has won this Creative Marketer of the Year, and it appears to stem from, at least in part, the company's work from 10 countries that won Cannes Lions awards across 15 different categories last year. This is a company that spent an estimated $5.8 billion on advertising and marketing expenses in 2024 and reported volume growth, stable margins, and in the U.S., strong growth in sales to retailers in 2025. As Ad Age, I think it was, points out, one of these campaigns included Corona's Sun Reserve campaign from Gray. And so get this, Rick. The campaign set out to preserve sunlight across Brazil's beaches by leasing beachfront property and legally restricting future building heights that could cast shadows on the sand.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah. So this is the first company to win Cannes Lions Creative Marketer of the Year for a third time. So drink to that. All right. Well, you know who else is awesome? You listeners. We appreciate your time. We hope you'll keep on kicking ass and keep on coming back to the one show where everybody's name is Rick.
And everybody rules the world.